Hello, 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 hello. Hello, guys. My name is Desmond, and I welcome you to my YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for joining. Before I start with the lesson for today, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to wish you all the best with your exams, and I'm pretty much sure that you are going to enjoy today's lesson because I'm going to make sure that in each and every question that I solve, I go through all the steps so that you fully understand everything until the end. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you exactly where you score your marks. Okay, so guys, if you've got any questions while I'm still in the middle of a lesson, there's a live chat where you can just quickly post your questions and I'll easily be able to note down the problems that you might be having and I'll make sure that you are assisted. Okay, so again, for those of you who have got my WhatsApp number, after the lesson, you can still send me a voice note where I'll listen to your question, your suggestion, or your comment, and then from there, I'll be able to assist or respond accordingly. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's not waste any much of our time. So we're going to go through all of these questions. Question 1.1, where we solve for x. Question 1.2, simultaneous equations, and 1.3, as you can see, we'll be dealing with the sorts, and 1.4 at simplification. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with our very first question. Okay, I hope you're able to see. In case if you're not able to see on the screen of my tablet, ladies and gentlemen, I assume on your screen at the right top corner there should be three dots. If you can click there, then you click on quality. Down there's advanced, and then from there I think it's 480p. You can just click there to maximize the quality. You should be able to clearly see on the screen of my tablet, and again you should be able to see what I'll be writing. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, without any waste of time, let me write our very first question. So we'll be dealing with question 1. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this question paper is posted on my Telegram channel. That's where I post all the question papers. So if you've got a Telegram channel, you can just search for solving exam papers, not necessarily the channel, but just a Telegram account. If you've got an account, just like WhatsApp or any other social media platform, you can just search for solving exam papers. Then you'll be able to freely access these question papers. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, that you are able to see exactly what I'm writing here. So guys, please do make sure that you've got a glass of water because it's going to be one of those interesting lessons. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's now start with our very first question. Okay, so most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, when you're given questions similar to this one, where they need you to solve for x, okay, guys, please do not panic. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Please do not panic, okay? Just take your time, think about the question, and most importantly, try to analyze the given question so that you are able to plan your approach. Okay, remember, there's a lesson that I did where I was teaching BIDMAS, well known as BODMAS. So that's where I teach you where is the starting point when you're given an equation. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, let's have a look at this given equation. So obviously your starting point, ladies and gentlemen, you want to remove the brackets. Okay, so in order for you to remove the brackets, obviously you multiply by the outside, you multiply again by the outside term, and then from there you just write the product. Okay, so obviously x multiplied by x is equals to x squared. Okay, and then x multiplied by -1, it's equals to -1x. Okay, and this is equals to 30. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. You just did that part only. Okay, so now what you need to do, because you realize you've got a quadratic equation, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have x squared, y squared, t squared, a squared, b squared, p squared. Ladies and gentlemen, any letter from a all the way up to z, if it's whatever letter squared, that means you've got a quadratic equation. What does it mean when you have a quadratic equation? Ladies and gentlemen, it means you should have your equation in that standard form. Okay, plus c is equals to 0. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, that you take note of this type of information. Okay, so guys, that means you should have whatever that is being squared, and then in that order, obviously you'll have whatever number with what was being squared. Okay, and obviously the last term should be a number, and all of that should be equated to 0. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have a look at this equation, you've done the first step correctly. Okay, so your next step, ladies and gentlemen, based on this standard form, that means you must move everything from the right side of the equal sign to the left. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever that you have on this side, you move it to the other side. Okay, so that you have an equation in that standard form. So what does it mean? It means we must move this 30 to the other side of the equal sign. Okay, so that means we have x squared. So at all times I start with that value which is being squared. Okay, so minus, can you see it's x which is being squared? Obviously that means it's minus 1x. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, remember guys, at all times, I hope you'll be able to see, let me just write somewhere there, each and every term, ladies and gentlemen, it has a number, whatever a letter it is, and again it has an exponent. Okay, or otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, let me just try to write it in a different form so that you understand. Okay, so we've got a coefficient, or we've got, let's say, a number. Okay, then we've got it's multiplied by a letter. Okay, and again you've got a floating exponent. Guys, at all times in your mind, please make sure that when you look at each and every term, you visualize what I've just written there. Okay, what does it mean, ladies and gentlemen? It means x squared, which is just x squared. Okay, what is the value there? Okay, and what is the value represented by L? Remember guys, L represent any letter. Okay, so there is the position for the exponent. So that means there, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually 1, which is not necessary for us to write that 1. Okay, so the letter in this case is x. Okay, and the exponent is 2. Okay, guys, I'm not sure if you understand what I'm trying to say. What if we just have x, ladies and gentlemen? If you have x, what is that number there on that term? Okay, it's 1, ladies and gentlemen, of which it's not necessary to write. Okay, what is the exponent there, ladies and gentlemen, it's 1, which is not really necessary for us to write because it makes no difference. Okay, so what if you've got 2y to the exponent 3? This one is straightforward. We know that position, we've got 2, and the letter in this case is y, and the exponent over there is 3. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, each and every term is separated by a sign of positive or negative or minus. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. That's why the whole of this is a term. The whole of this is a term. If, for example, we had 30, then this is a term. Okay, so guys, a term is separated by a sign of positive or minus. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, in most cases, you'll find that maybe you have a minus sign over there, and you can still have a minus sign over there. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. And this could be equated to, let's say, 0, for example. It doesn't necessarily mean that at all times it will be minus, it could be positive, it could be minus, positive, it could be positive and a minus. What matters the most is for you to be able to understand that you've got a term, a term, a term, and a term. Okay, so that means you've got 4 terms. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So, guys, remember, back to our question. I think at some point along our lesson, you will realize why it was important for you to be able to visualize this information, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so someone might be wondering, what if we now have a 30 over there? Ladies and gentlemen, this is 30, right? So it's different because in this case we are talking about a letter over there. Okay, so we know when you've got a letter, that means there should be a coefficient or a number followed by a variable, which could be any letter from A up to Z, and you still have an exponent. Okay, so in case if it's a number, ladies and gentlemen, it's just a number, then an exponent. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, these are 2 different things. Okay, so because this term is a number, that means the exponent of that number, ladies and gentlemen, it's 1. Okay, of which it makes no difference. That's why we don't have to write 30 to the exponent 1, because if you punch it on a calculator, ladies and gentlemen, it gives you 30. Okay, so that means over there you've got 1. Remember, guys, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's only 1. It could be 0, it could be 10, it could be 107, it could be negative 108, it could be, ladies and gentlemen, negative 108 over 3 as an exponent. Okay, so guys, you just need to bear in mind that when you have a number, there's an exponent. Okay, so in case if it's a letter, then there's a coefficient, there's a letter, then there's an exponent. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now let's continue with our question, guys. So obviously I've just explained that we move everything to the left. Okay, so remember, it changes a sign, then you have minus 30 and it's equated to 0. Okay, guys, you should ask yourself this type of questions if you don't understand. Okay, if you don't understand why it's being equated to 0, you should ask yourself this type of questions. If you're not able to answer yourself, ask your mentor, ask your teacher, ask your tutor, ask whoever who's assisting you with mathematics. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why it's being equated to 0, okay, it's because you are moving everything on this side of the equation to the left side of the equal sign. Okay, so what's remaining, ladies and gentlemen, is 0. That's why we write 0 there, because you remain with nothing. Okay, so mathematically nothing is represented by 0. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, once you have your equation in that standard form, okay, can you see you don't have any like terms anymore. You've got x squared, you don't have any other number with x squared. Okay, so you just have one x over there, so you cannot add it or subtract it or work it out with anything else. Okay, you've got a number which is 30 and this is equated to 0. So that means you've got your equation in the standard form. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that means you can now factorize. Okay, so I'll just remove all of this information and factorize. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So you are at that stage where you now need to find the factors. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, I think I'll be saying this for the second time, that in my life, ladies and gentlemen, I've never had any issues related to finding the correct factors. Why? It's because when I was in I think grade 9 or grade 10, I learned this formula, of which even now I still remember this formula, and I've always been using this formula, ladies and gentlemen, the quadratic formula. X is equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, I know most of you, especially when you're in grade 12, you only use this equation in in those type of questions where they want you to round off to the nearest decimal place or correct to 2 decimal place, or whatever the question may be instructing you. Okay, so in my case, ladies and gentlemen, I've always been using this formula. Okay, it doesn't matter how simple the equation is, I've always been using the formula. Let's say, for example, you're given, not necessarily given, but you work out an equation and you end up with a standard form. Let's say something like this. Okay, let me say 80x minus let's say 180, and this is equated to 0. Okay, so let's say for some reason you were given an equation, you simplify the equation until you get to this standard form. Okay, so guys, I noticed that some of the other times, let's say it's 189, some of the other times you might find that you made a mistake somewhere in between between the equation and when you were simplifying until you get to this point. You might find that you made a mistake of which you didn't notice your mistake. Okay, obviously, if you made a mistake, ladies and gentlemen, if this equation is not possible to factorize, not possible to factorize using your head, then it means you're going to spend about 10 minutes trying to come up with the correct factors, ladies and gentlemen, and it wastes a lot of your time. Okay, that's why in my case I just straight away use this formula. Okay, so once I use this formula to get the factors, okay, then I can simply write those factors in these brackets. Okay guys, I'm going to teach you something very, very much important. Please do make sure that you pay full attention to this. Okay, so from this point I'll just pretend I'm in an exam and I'm having this question. Okay, so obviously you understood up to this stage. So what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to use the quadratic equation or formula that you must always know by heart to substitute all of this. Okay, I know in my head my A it's equals to 1. My B, it's equals to -1. C, -30. Okay, so these ones, which are the negative numbers, I'm going to substitute in brackets. Okay, so obviously it's negative into my B, it's -1, close, plus square root of into -1 minus 4. What is my A? My A is 1, close, open, then it's -30, close over to my A is equals to 1. Okay, I think there's something which is missing, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you shortly. It should be that squared over there. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to say is this is how the formula looks like. It's x, which is equals to -b plus or minus square root of it's b squared over there. Okay, minus 4ac all over 2a. So when I made some substitutions, I didn't include that squared over there. I'm thinking even when I wrote this formula for the first time, when I was explaining it to you, I might have omitted that square over there. Okay, but I assume we all know the formula, so you were able to then understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you know this formula by heart, but otherwise if you're in matric, I think it's given to you on the formula sheet. Okay, so guys, my first factor is 6. Okay, so that means x is equals to 6, or because it's a quadratic equation, that means I must have 2 values of x. Then I'm going to go back to that formula and delete that positive sign and use a minus. Then it's equals to, I'm getting -5. So that means my second x value is x is equals to -5. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that formula, it gives you the final answers of your quadratic equation. Okay, so you need to be very wise, you need to be very clever in order to use those final answers to get the factors. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, now we do it in reverse. Okay, remember guys, I'm in an exam, so I've already got my final answers. So for these final answers to be the way in which they look, it means in between you had this step, which is equals to 0. Cause for x to be equals to 6, that means it was x minus 6, because you have to move it to the right so that it changes a sign. You also do the same over there. You just say x, then it must be an opposite sign of the final answer, which is +5, and it's equals to 0. Okay, so that means, ladies and gentlemen, you know, for x to be equals to -5, it was x plus 5, which was equals to 0. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the factors that you write in the brackets. Okay, so these are the factors that you write in the brackets. Let's just try to verify. So that means x minus 6, obviously you know it's going to be equated to 0. This is it. X plus 5 is going to be equated to 0. This is it. Okay, so obviously you move it to the right, it becomes 6. You move it to the right, it changes a sign, it becomes -5. Guys, what if when I punched on a calculator, I got, let's say, x is equals to 2/3, and again I got the other value when I punched a negative sign, let's say -5/7. Just as an example, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you understand what I'm explaining to you. Okay, so guys, that means obviously you just multiply that x by the number at the bottom. Okay, you just multiply that number at the bottom. Okay, so that means, ladies and gentlemen, for this to be this answer, it was actually 3x. Okay. Then you use the opposite sign. What is the sign there? It's positive. That means over there it's negative. Okay, just like you did with that question. Okay, then you can write this number at the top and you equate it to 0. Okay, so you do the same. You multiply that x by the number at the bottom or the denominator, then it becomes 7x. You use the opposite sign, then it means it's a positive over there. Then you write the number at the top, which is 5. And this is equated to 0. Okay, so that means, ladies and gentlemen, these are the factors that I was going to write inside these brackets. Guys, I'm not sure if you fully understand what I'm trying to explain to you guys, but I hope your minds are still sharp and are very sharp, ladies and gentlemen. You fully understand exactly what I'm doing. Otherwise, in case if you have been confused, guys, please do make a comment on the live chat, okay? But otherwise, if you understand, we can then move on, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I've just indicated to you that I want to show you something very much important. Okay, guys, since my grade 10, 11 and 12, especially when it comes to mathematics, paper 1 and most importantly question 1, I was able to mark for myself, ladies and gentlemen. How was I doing that? So in other words, if you feel like you didn't hear me clearly, ladies and gentlemen, if it was myself writing this paper in an exam or in a test, okay, for the whole of question 1, I was able to mark for myself in the exam class or in the class where I'm writing my test. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I used to substitute my final answers into the original equation to check if my final answers are correct. Okay, that's what I want to teach you, ladies and gentlemen. But if you do it over and over again, you get to a stage where you no longer need to prove if your final answers are correct, because you end up knowing the procedure. Chances of you making mistakes are minimized when you practice a lot. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we do not practice mathematics in order to be good in mathematics, but we practice in order to eliminate chances of making more mistakes, because no matter how good you are, you still make some mistakes. Okay, and in most of my lessons, I pray that I make these mistakes. Why would I say I pray that I make mistakes in lessons where I'm teaching you? It's because there's a value in every mistake. Okay, for me to learn mathematics, for me to learn physical sciences, I had to make a lot of mistakes that my fellow learners did not make some of those mistakes. I had to make sure that I make as many mistakes as possible, because you learn a lot when you make a mistake. Okay, you make mistakes, you learn from those mistakes, you never repeat those mistakes. And again, in case if you panic in an exam room, you remember that no, I've made this similar mistake before. So, because you've already done that mistake, you will know how to recover from that particular mistake. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, how do I prove if my answers, are correct or wrong? Okay, this is how I used to do it, ladies and gentlemen. I will show you quickly so that you have a better understanding before we correct, our calculations. So in place of x, I'm going to substitute 6. Okay, in place of x there and there, I'm going to substitute 6. and when I punch is equals to on a calculator, I must get 30. If I don't get 30, then it means somewhere, somehow, my answer is wrong. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, that you make use of this information that I'm providing to you. So that means on my calculator, I'm going to substitute my answer, then into, I'm going to substitute that answer, then minus 1, which is that minus 1 over there, and I'm going to close bracket. When I punch is equals to, ladies and gentlemen, I must get 30. Okay, if you've got a calculator, can we please give it a try, ladies and gentlemen? If you've got a calculator, okay, just quickly get your calculator. I'll just have a glass of water, then we'll start to prove my final answers. Okay, guys, I assume we all have a calculator, and I'm thinking some of you who already had calculators might have done this exercise already. So open bracket, substitute 6, close, open, substitute 6, minus 1, close. Let's say it's equals to, ladies and gentlemen, boom, can you see we're getting 30? So that means x is indeed equals to 6. Okay, guys, it doesn't end there. Remember, we had 2 values of x. Let's now go back and substitute negative, negative 5, and again delete that 6 and substitute negative 5. Okay, guys, let's punch as equals to, let's press as equals to, boom. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are able to see that these 2x values are correct. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. We are 100% sure that these 2 answers are correct. Okay, so guys, you also get a mark for factors. Okay, so for you to find the correct factors, we give you a mark. Okay, so if you feel like you're too clever or you're too smart and you skip some of these steps, ladies and gentlemen, you won't score maximum marks. Okay, you won't score total marks. We might just give you the marks for your final answers, but in between you're still going to lose some marks. Okay, guys, for simplification or for writing your equation in the standard form, we give you a mark. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So that's how you solve your first question. Okay, so guys, in case if you've got some questions in relation to this question that I've done, please do make sure that you comment on the comment section. Okay, there's a live chat where you can just post a comment while this lesson is on. Ladies and gentlemen, it was not only about answering this question, but I wanted you guys to also learn. Okay, so let's now move to the next question. Okay, so in short, ladies and gentlemen, for this type of questions, when we give you marks, okay, it's, in short, we give you a mark for simplification, we give you a mark for factors, and we give you a mark for both answers. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, that you don't miss some of the steps, because at the marking center, ladies and gentlemen, we want to give you all the marks. Okay, it pains to see learners giving correct final answers only to find that they didn't show some steps in between. Okay, nothing much we can do. We just give you the marks on what you've written on your paper. Okay, you cannot assume that you skipped those steps because they were easy, because now we are not sure if you borrowed the final answer from a friend next to you. Okay, guys, the formula that you must know at all times by heart. Okay, negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, why am I writing this formula? It's because they just said correct to 1 decimal places. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. For the fact that they said correct to 1 decimal places, then it says a lot. Okay, guys, please do not cram this type of questions and always assume that they will request you to correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, in some instances it might be 1, in some instances they might say to the nearest, in other instances they may say correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, so you just need to be careful of what the question wants you to do. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those straightforward questions. You know, we almost covered the information related to this question when we're doing question 1.1.1. Okay, so we won't waste a lot of time on this one. And ladies and gentlemen, this question is allocated, I think, let me just quickly check so that I'm 100% sure in terms of the marks allocated to this question. Okay, so it's allocated 4 marks. Guys, it's a lot of marks. Okay, it's a lot of marks. You need to make sure that you maximize on this question. Okay, so let's just substitute. But most importantly, you can just say your A is equals to 3 over there. Okay, and then your B is equals to -5, and your C is equals to +1. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Can we now substitute, guys? Can we now substitute? So that means your X is equals to negative into. This is where you're going to write your B. Then you have plus or minus, then square root of your B squared minus 4 into your A, your C, all over 2 into your A. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Can I just use a black pen to substitute? This is your B, it's -5. Okay, guys, I've noticed that with some of the students, especially when it comes to this question, they make a mistake when it comes to this part where they forget that this minus, it came with the formula. Okay, so that minus, it's not a minus for your minus B over there. Okay, this is your B. So substitute your B as it is, where you see B. But in most cases, you forget that minus and assume it's a negative for that number over there. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what is your B? Guys, your B is -5. Okay, your A over there, your A is equals to 3. Substitute 3. What is your C? Your C is 1. What is your A over there? Just substitute your A. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very much important. Okay, so now you can just say your X is equals to. Okay, so you can just punch all of this on your calculator, starting with a positive sign. So a fraction button, then it's negative into brackets, it's -5. Then you start with a positive sign, you say square root into -5, then you squared your -4 into A is 3 into C it's 1, down there 2 into your A is 3, then you say it's equals to. Okay, so can you see, ladies and gentlemen, you have a 5 plus square root of, what is it? It's square root of 13 all over 6. Okay, so if you're quick enough, you can just convert it to a decimal place. Then remember they said correct to 1 decimal place. Then this is the same as when a 1,4. Okay, then you go back to that positive sign, you delete this positive sign. Remember we started with a positive sign, then you delete and you punch minus over there, and you say it's equals to, then you just say or, because remember it's a quadratic equation. Then if it's a quadratic equation, that means you have two values of x. So this is the first x value where the sign there is positive. So now when the sign there it's a minus, then you have a, what was it? For this it was a positive sign. So now it's for when the sign it's a minus over there. Then you have the same thing. The only difference is the sign. Okay. Then you convert it to decimal. Then it becomes 0.2. Okay. Leave it there because they said correct to 1 decimal place. Okay. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very much important. Okay. So, guys, let's now see where we score some marks. Unlike in physical sciences, when it comes to mathematics, they don't give you a mark for writing the formula because it was given to you in the formula sheet. Okay, so that means they give you a mark for correct substitution. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and again, they give you a mark for that step. Okay, because you obviously substituted and you simplified. Okay, so they also give you a mark for your final answers. So in exam, in a marking center, ladies and gentlemen, this is how they give you your marks. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now I'm going to erase all of this information. Then guys, remember, I'm going to make this lesson available as soon as I'm done. Okay, so in case if you're not able, or if you're not coping with listening and writing at the same time, don't panic. As soon as we're done with this lesson, it will be available on my YouTube channel. You can replay it over and over again so that you catch up. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's now move to the next question. Okay, guys, in case if you enjoy the content, if you find it very much valuable, please do like this video, or just give me a comment as a feedback so that I've got an idea of your response to this lesson. Okay, so we are now on what is it? It should be 1.1.3. So inequalities, ladies and gentlemen, this question is allocated 4 marks. Okay, so it's 15x minus 4 less than 9x squared. Okay, so just write it down. It's 15, is it 15x squared? Oh, it's just 15x minus 4 less than 9x squared. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very much important. Remember, with regards to inequalities, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to write down this information that we've got we've got less than, we've got less than, it's equals to, we've got greater than, we've got greater than, it's equals to. Okay, please do not please do not confuse these signs, ladies and gentlemen. I know, especially in grade, I think grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, that's where you might confuse these signs. When you're given that sign, you might find that you don't remember if it's if it's a positive, if it's a greater than or a less than. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, how did I in my case somehow find a way to never forget which one is less than and which one is greater than? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm using my right hand to write, so I'm right-handed. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you can, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, if you can try to do this with your right hand and also try to do this with your left hand. So you'll be having something like this. this is your elbow and this is your fist, and with your left hand you've got your elbow there and your fist or your the palm of your hand there. Okay, something like this, ladies and gentlemen. Your fist over there, and then you've got your hand like that, your fist over there, and you have your hand like that. This is the elbow, this is the elbow. Okay, because I'm right-handed, ladies and gentlemen, my right hand is greater in power. Okay, and my left hand, ladies and gentlemen, is less in power. Okay, so for those of you who are right-handed, this is the best way in order for you to cram these signs. Okay, you might find that you already know these signs, you don't need to cram them, but I'm just indicating to you that when I was in lower grades, I used to struggle until I had to come up with a way in order for me to never forget or be confused in terms of which one is greater than and which one is less than. Okay, so that means just this sign, it means greater than, because it's more like I did like this with my hand. Okay, then now it means this one, it's less than, because it's more like I did that shape with my hand. Okay, so now why do we have greater than or it's equals to, and again less than or it's equals to? Is because after saying greater than, then you have this sign from it's equals to. Okay, after saying less than, then you have this sign from that sign of it's equals to. So that's why this is the combined signs. Okay, it's a sign of inequality and a sign of this it's equals to. Sign of inequality and a sign of it's equals to. Then it becomes less or it's equals to, greater or it's equals to. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you might find this information valuable, especially those who are getting confused with regards to these signs. Okay, so coming back to our equation, which was allocated, I think it was 4 marks. Okay, so this question is allocated 4 marks. So ladies and gentlemen, remember, I've just explained when we did question 1.1.1 that the moment when you see that you've got this, a letter and an exponent, that means you've got a quadratic equation. Okay, for now, don't worry much about that sign. Okay, it's just a matter of you being able to notice what type of an equation you're given. Okay, so if you notice that you've got a quadratic equation, then it means you move everything to the left. You must have a 0 on the right, and again have your equation in the standard form. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So whether it's an inequality sign, whether it's an inequality sign, inequality sign, or it's equals to, what matters the most is that the moment you have a quadratic equation, move everything to the left, simplify so that it's in the standard form, and everything must be either equated to 0 or less than or is equal to, less than or is equal to, less than or greater than. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So most important, because now we are dealing with inequalities. Okay, then you might be careful of some things of which I'm going to show you shortly. Now let's just move. Okay, so obviously I will want my negative 9x squared to be the first term. Okay, so that it's already in the standard form. Okay, because you just moved that alone, then everything else remains the same because you didn't move anything. So that means you have positive 15x, okay, minus 4, and the sign is less than. Okay, then you write 0 on the right. Okay, I hope we are still on the same page, ladies and gentlemen. So now remember, you just want to have a positive sign over there. Okay, so you can either say you are dividing each and every term by a negative, or you can say you change all the signs. Okay, so let's change all the signs. Ladies and gentlemen, that means I'm changing that negative to be a positive. Okay, I'm changing that positive to be minus 15x. Okay, I'm changing that minus to be positive 4x. Ladies and gentlemen, this thing is a sign. Okay, so I'm changing it to be greater than 0. Okay, why is it just 0 over there, ladies and gentlemen? It's because positive 0 and negative 0, all of this is just the same as 0. Okay, so that's why in my mind I'm having a negative 0 there, of which is still the same as just 0. That's why I'm writing 0 over there. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, that means when you have less than or equal to and you're changing the sign, then it also changes to become when you had greater than and equal to and you're changing the sign, then it becomes negative, less than or is equals to. Okay, so you need to be aware of this kind of information. Okay, so now as you can see, everything is in the standard form. Okay, so now we can try to find the critical values. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. We find the critical values. Okay, so the critical values, ladies and gentlemen, it's like we want to know the factors of this equation. Okay, that's why I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, you need to know that formula of x is equals to negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, why do you need to know this formula? It's because in a situation similar to this one, ladies and gentlemen, it might take you a bit of time to come up with the correct factors. Okay, so what we need, ladies and gentlemen, is the correct factors. Okay, so in my case, I'm just going to use that formula. Okay, because I've been doing this type of questions and I've been practicing throughout the year in preparation for my finals, I already know that formula by heart. And again, I already know what will be my substitution there in place of B, in place of A, in place of C, and in place of A. Okay, by just looking at that quadratic equation. So you start with the fraction button, then you say negative into your B, it's negative 15, then you say plus, you know you're going to change to minus, then you say square root of your B, it's negative 15 close squared minus 4 into A, my A it's 9 close open, my C it's 4 close down there, it's 2 into my A, it's 9. Then when I say it's equals to, ladies and gentlemen, I know that in terms of my critical values, remember I've just explained that this formula gives you the final answer. Okay, so that means the first x critical value, it's x, it's equals to 4 over 3. Okay, then you say or it's x, it's equals to, then you go back to that formula, you subtract and you say it's equals to, then you get 1 over 3. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I've just explained to you that for you to find the factors, you just multiply this by that number at the bottom. Okay, so that means in terms of the factors is 3x. Okay, then you write the opposite sign. That means it's minus over there. Then you write the number at the top. Okay, then same applies. That means this is 3x over there. Then you write the opposite sign. Then this is minus 1. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that's how you find the factors. Okay, now you can easily do your number line. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I assume you now have an idea of exactly what I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen. So remember, these are two positive values. Okay, you just need to know which one is a smaller value and which one is a bigger value. So obviously 1 over 3, if you punch it on a calculator, it's smaller than 4 over 3. How do I know? guys, you just say 1/3. You convert it to decimal, so it's actually 0.3333. Okay, then you do the same but for 4/3, and then in decimal, this is 1.3333. Okay, so this is small, this is bigger. That's why you start with a smaller number there and then followed by a bigger number there, because you know with the number line you have a, you know, from that side -1, negative whatever, then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the numbers increase from the left to the right. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So because you're dealing with inequalities, ladies and gentlemen, if you have less than, if you have a, no, this is greater than, then if you have less than, when it comes to this number line, you represent it by a circle. Okay, so how is it different when it's less than or equals to, or otherwise if it's greater than or equals to? Then you shade these circles, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have a circle, then you shade it. You're going to have a circle, then you shade it. That's if it has that or it's equals to. Okay, but if it's just a less than or greater than, then it's just a circle. Okay, it's just a circle, it's just a circle. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now what we want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to try and find the values of x where we have where we have a positive number. Okay, so let me just show you how you go about this, ladies and gentlemen, without having to be to be confused by what I've just said. Guys, as soon as you've done the critical values, just draw your number line and represent by those zeros or unshaded zeros. Okay, then as soon as you're done with this part, try to substitute on this equation values on this side of the first critical value, in between, and on this side of the critical value. Okay, so obviously, ladies and gentlemen, you can just use any number on this side of the equation. Okay, obviously we can even use, let's say, -5. Okay, so you will say 9, that 9 into -5, you close, then you say squared. It doesn't matter if you use -1,000, -5, -1,000,000, -10,5, -25, something, whatever that it is, as long as it's on this side of that first critical values. When we're done, we're going to substitute with a number in between. When we're done, we're going to substitute with any number on this side. For now, I just chose to use -5. Okay, so I just want to see where I'm getting positive numbers and where I'm getting negative numbers. That is why any number that you substitute with is fine. Okay, so I've substituted with -5 there, then you say minus, you substitute with the same number, guys. So -5, okay, then you can add 4, that 4 over there, then you say it's equals to. Can you see I'm getting positive 304? So I'm only interested in the sign that I'm getting, ladies and gentlemen. The sign that I'm getting is a positive sign. Let me just write it there to say it's a positive sign. Okay, so now I'm going back to substitute with a number in between. Okay, remember, guys, this is actually 0.3333, and this is 1.3333. So that means a number which is in between these numbers, even 0.5, it's in between, even 1, it's in between, even 1.2, it's in between. Just don't make it 1.3 because it's closer to that number. Just use the numbers in between. Okay, so let's substitute 0.5, and you can substitute 1, the other one can substitute 1.2. We just want to see if when we punch it's equals to, if we see a positive or a negative number. That's the main purpose of this exercise. Okay, so now I'm going to substitute what was it, 0.5. Okay, then I'm going to erase there and substitute 0.5 and say it's equals to, can you see I'm getting a negative number, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter whether it's negative 0.5, whether it's negative 5.4, whether it's negative 0.000, whatever number, as long as it's a negative sign, then I just write a negative sign over there. Okay, so guys, then I punch any number on this side of that inequality. Maybe I can just punch, let's say 10. Okay, you can use any number, you can use million, you can use 1000, you can use 50, whatever number that you substitute, you're getting a positive number over there. Okay, so guys, this is the only thing that I needed in order to conclude my final answer, where I'm going to say x, it's either less or greater, and then I'm going to have another x value over there. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, according to this statement, it says for which values of x, when you substitute there, you're going to get a number which is greater than 0. Okay, that's what this statement means. And for us to be able to answer this question, we need to know which side is positive, negative, which side is positive. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, any number which is greater than 0 is a positive number. Okay, any number which is less than 0 is a negative number. Okay, but according to this statement, they are asking for which values of x, when substituted there, we get a number which is greater than 0. So we have seen that when we substitute numbers on this side, we get a number which is greater than 0. That's why they draw that line and indicate with that sign to say in that direction, when you substitute a value there, you get a number which is greater than 0. How is it greater than 0? It's because it's a positive number. Ladies and gentlemen, when you substitute with any number in that direction, okay, you get a positive number which is greater than 0. Okay, so how do you then write these final answers, ladies and gentlemen? Can you see how that sign looks like? Okay, I just write it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it's from that inequality of 1/3. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can you see how that arrow looks like? Okay, I just write it, guys. Where did I get that arrow? It's from that critical value of 4/3. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you easily solve this question, because I know with most of you, especially when you get to this last stage, you get confused in terms of which sign to use over there. Okay, as an example, guys, listen to me very carefully. As an example, if you had something like this, where you have let's say 2 and 4 over there, and you had something like this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so in this case, that will obviously mean you had arrows in that direction and you had another arrow in that direction. Okay, so that means x, this is the sign how it is, then you just write 2. Then you can say or, then you say x, then you just write it as it is, and then you just say 4. Okay, some other students may just decide to say this is between 2 and 4, and when you represent that, you just say x less than 2, 4. So this thing, it means x is between 2 and 4. Okay, guys, let me not go deep into that so that I don't confuse you, but I'll make sure to do another exam paper which needs a final answer like that. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, remember this question is allocated 4 marks. Okay, so they give you a mark for finding the factors. Okay, so for you to come up with the correct factors, we give you a mark. Okay, guys, I don't think this question was given 4 marks because it really doesn't worth 4 marks, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just quickly check on the question paper in terms of how many marks were allocated to this question. Indeed, it was allocated 4 marks, ladies and gentlemen. It was allocated 4 marks, but if I was the examiner, I was going to give you 5 marks because you worked hard for this question, ladies and gentlemen. So that means you'll just get a mark for correct factors. Okay, and then from there I'm going to give you a mark for finding the correct critical values. Okay, then from there I'm going to give you a mark for your final answers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you solve this question. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to remove all of this information. Obviously, you don't have to panic because I'm going to make this lesson available as soon as I'm done. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, in case if you're enjoying the content, please do give me feedback by either liking the video or just giving me a comment, ladies and gentlemen. I feel very good when you give me those comments because I'm able to notice if I'm not confusing you. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're now on question number 1.2, which is solve simultaneously for x and y in the following set of equations, and this question is allocated 5 marks. I hope you're able to see the equation that were given for this question, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, I hope you won't be confused. So let me just write it down. So this is 1.2. Okay, 1.2. So the equation is x minus y is equals to 3, and then we've got x squared minus xy minus 2y squared minus 7. This is equals to 0, and this question is allocated how many marks, ladies and gentlemen? 5 marks. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So this is now our equation number 1. This is equation number 2. We need to derive equation number 3. So I'm going to give you tips, ladies and gentlemen, for you to derive the third equation. You look for the simplest equation between these two. Okay, can you see that equation is not complicated, right? So because it's not complicated, then it means we're going to make equation number 3 from equation number 1. Okay, so the other tip is that you need to decide which one between x and y it's suitable to make the subject of the formula. Okay, whether you make x or y the subject of the formula, you will still find the correct final answers. But if you are not careful, you're going to choose the one that is going to make you to have a long dry. Okay, so guys, you look at this equation to say, if I make x the subject of the formula, I'm going to substitute there and there. Okay, so if I make y the subject of the formula, I'm going to substitute there and there. Okay, but now with that too, it might complicate things, ladies and gentlemen, because now you'll have 2 into whatever squared, then you have 2 into then you're going to multiply, then you still have that 2, then you have your quadratic equation, then you're still going to multiply. Can you see, ladies and gentlemen? Unlike if you make x subject of the formula, because you don't have that 2 over there, is just straightforward. You just multiply, you write in the standard form, then you work out the like terms. Okay, so this is a tip that I wanted to give to you guys. I know you know how to solve this type of questions. Okay, so we won't waste a lot of time on this question. Ladies and gentlemen, we now make x the subject of the formula, so that means we move everything to the right. Remember, it becomes positive y, and 3 has always been there as positive 3. Okay, so now we just substitute. So that means we've got y plus 3 there. Okay, remember guys, we're substituting equation 3 into equation 2. Okay, so that means this is equation 3. We substitute all of that in place of x on equation number 2. Okay, so this is minus, right? Then this is y plus 3 multiplied by that y over there. Okay, then you've got a minus sign over there. Let me just remove that. It's minus 2y squared minus 7, it's equals to 0. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's now remove the brackets. Okay, obviously there you expand. That means you have y plus 3, 2 of those. Okay, 2 of the same thing. Okay, then this one is that multiplied by that, is this multiplied by that. You have minus, which is that minus, then you have y multiplied by y, which is y squared. Remember guys, for this to be y squared, it's like you're saying y times y. And remember, I've just explained to you that you have a number, a letter, and exponent. So a number is 1 there, it's 1 there. This is a letter, it's a letter. You have 1 there, you have 1 there. Okay, you know I've done a lesson where I teach the maths basic rules. When you have the same basis, you add the exponent. So it's more like it's y to the exponent 1 plus 1, which is the same as y to the exponent 2. So that's why there it's 2. Even when you work it out with x times x, the reason why it becomes x squared is because of the same reason, ladies and gentlemen. So now you remember you multiplied by that, it becomes y squared. Then you say minus, then it's that minus, then you multiply by 3, then it becomes 3y. Okay, then it's minus 2y squared, which is that one over there, then minus 7, and it's equated to 0. Okay, so now we multiply everything. We know we're going to have y squared, right? That times that, it becomes positive 3y, that times that, positive 3y, that times that, plus 9. Okay, then I think we've got like terms somewhere. Can you see that and that? These are the like terms. So there's 1 over there. Okay, there's 1 over there, which is 1y squared. So you have minus 1 there, you have minus 2 there, so it's minus 3 of y squared. Okay, minus 3y, which is that one, minus 7, which is that one, it's equated to 0. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So I assume so far you're not being confused, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now let's have a look at the like terms. Can you see you've got y to the exponent 12 squared, you've got y squared. So this is 1 minus 3. You know on a calculator, if you punch 1 minus 3, it gives you minus 2. 2 of what? Of y squared. Okay, so you've got 3y plus 3y, it's 6y, minus 3y, then you remain with 3y. Okay, you have 9 minus 7. So ladies and gentlemen, that is actually equals to, it should be 2, isn't it? Because 9 minus 7 is equals to 2. This is equated to 0. Okay, so we can just change the sign. So that means you have positive 2y, then it's minus 3y, this is minus 2, it's equals to 0. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. I hope so far you are happy with this information. Okay, so this is now a quadratic equation where you can just simply factorize. Okay, I've taught you how to easily factorize, so I won't waste much of time on this one. So ladies and gentlemen, obviously for you to get the factors, it should be 2y, it should be y, because when you multiply 2y times y, it takes you back to 2y squared. Okay, and you know it's 2 and y, whereby when multiplied with each other, they give you they give you what is it? They give you 2, isn't it? I think when you say 2 times 2 times what is it? 2 times 1, it gives you 2. Okay, so in terms of the sign, because I was actually thinking about the signs, ladies and gentlemen, if we make it a minus there and a plus there, that's when you will get a negative sign over there. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So that obviously means you're going to equate this to 0 and equate this to 0. So you'll end up with your y value being on this side negative half. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm not sure if you fully understand that part, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, with the previous questions that we did, when you get to this stage after finding the correct factors, you just equate this to 0, equate that to 0. So then you solve for y. Then this is or y is equals to, it's going to be positive 2. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Then you obviously use these y values to substitute there in order to get the x values. Okay, so it's more like you're going to say x is going to be equals to, you say negative half, then this is plus 3 over there. You do the same for 2, where x, then you're going to substitute 2 there, plus 3, which is going to be 5. Okay, so that means when you substituted 2, you get x value as 5. When you substituted negative 1 over 2, let's see what answer you get. So that means negative 1 over 2 plus 3 is equals to, then it's it's 5 over 2. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. It's 5 over 2. Okay, so guys, for you to do all of this, you deserve full 5 marks. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So this is how we give you the marks. Firstly, for correct substitution, we give you a mark. Okay, guys, for simplification, for writing it in its simplest form, we give you a mark. We assume this is grade 10 stuff where you just solve. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So again, for you to find the correct factors, we give you a mark. Okay, again, ladies and gentlemen, for your y values, we give you a mark. It's very, very interesting there at the marking center, ladies and gentlemen. We enjoy giving you the marks, so you should make sure that you provide all the steps. Okay, for your final x values, we give you a mark. Guys, please do make sure that you replay this lesson before you write your exams. Okay, so that you will remember me in the exam room, especially when you're about to make some mistakes. Okay, so guys, it's best if I make these mistakes and show you how to recover from the mistakes. Then from there, when you get to exam, you won't make those mistakes. Okay, so calculate the exact value of this. Show all calculations. This question is allocated 3 marks. So for the fact that is not allocated a lot of marks, means it's not that complicated. Okay, so this is 10 to the exponent 2009 all over that 10 to the exponent 2011 minus square root of 10 to the exponent 2007. Okay, so guys, this question is allocated 3 marks, which means in 3 steps you can get to your final answer. Okay, so they want you to show all calculations. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not panic when it comes to this type of questions. Okay, you just need to try and simplify. Try to write this in a different simplified form without changing without changing its value. But it's tricky in this case because you need to decide whether to make everything look like 10 to the exponent 2009 or make everything look like 10 to the exponent 2011 or make everything look like 10 to the exponent 2007. Okay, let's just choose that simplest one. Okay, so that means, ladies and gentlemen, this thing 10 to the exponent 2009, okay, is the same as 10 to the exponent 2007, okay, multiplied by, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much important, multiplied by 10 to the exponent 2, okay. Why? Because remember, it's the same inside that square root, is the same as 10 to the exponent 2007 multiplied by 10 to the exponent 2. Remember, I've just told you that same basis, you add the exponents. So that means it's 10 to the exponent 2007 plus 2, which is the same as 10 to the exponent 2009, because 2 plus 7 is equals to 9. Okay, I hope you understand, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so for you to prove if this is correct, punch that on a calculator and punch this on a calculator. Remember, there it's a multiplication sign, and see if you get the same value. Okay, so you also do the same here, ladies and gentlemen. So it's going to be 10 to the exponent 2007, okay, multiplied by 10 to the exponent what, such that when we add, it's going to take us back to 11. Obviously 4, because 4 plus 7 is equals to 11. Okay, so you just say minus square root of 10 to the exponent 2007. No need to change that one, because we decided to make everything to have 10 to the exponent 2007. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, it's more like we've got something like, I just want you to notice something, guys. This thing is the same as, you can separate those square roots and make it a 2007 multiplied by square root of 10 squared. This is the same, just like that one over there. Okay, so it's these basic rules that I've taught in my previous lesson. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this lesson and you have my WhatsApp number, drop me a WhatsApp to request a link where I was teaching this information in detail. So if you have got square root of x multiplied by y, this is the same as square root of x times square root of y. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. You should know that information. Okay, that's why I'm saying sorry guys, that's why I'm saying this, the whole of this is the same as that. Okay, hope you understand. So ladies and gentlemen, remember 10 to the 10 squared, obviously the whole of this, let me just write it here to say, is the same as 10 to the exponent 2007 times square root of 10 squared. Okay, so you know squared removes square root. Okay, so that means this is the same as 10. So that means if you punch square root of 10 squared, it's going to be the same as 10. Okay, why? It's because square root of, let's say 10, and let me just put a square there. There's a 2 here, which is not written. Just like when you have y, there's a 1 there which is not written. Okay, so this thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the same as 10 squared, which is what is inside. Okay, so it's the same as 1 over 2. So that means square root is actually to the exponent half. To the exponent of what? Whatever that is in bracket, it's the base and is to the exponent half. Okay, so that means if you have 4 square root of x, for example, this thing is the same as x. Remember, there's a 1 there, then this is that 1 over 4, which is that 4 over there. Okay, so if you have, let's say, a 10 square root of y to the exponent 3, okay, this is the same as y to the exponent that 3 over that 10 over there. Guys, let me leave it there because I hope you now have an idea of what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for now you need to know that when you have square root of 7 squared, this is the same as just 7 because that cancels and that cancels. Okay, how do they cancel? It's because, ladies and gentlemen, let's say it's 10 squared, and instead of doing a square root, we know it's 1 over 2. Okay, so we know this cancels, that cancels. Then you have 10 to the exponent 1, which is just the same as 10. Okay, so that's why I'm saying square root of 10 squared is the same as 10. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're learning a lot. Okay, so that means this is just the same as 10. So it's more like we have 10 multiplied by square root of 10 to the exponent 2007. Okay, all of this divided by very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very much important that you understand what I'm trying to explain to you guys. So guys, can you see we've got this thing which is the same as, according to what I've explained, 10 to the exponent 2007 multiplied by a square root of 10 to the exponent 4. Okay, so we can take out 10 to the exponent 2007 as common factor. So this is what we have as 10 to the exponent 2007. Then you remain with let me see, remember guys, I forgot to add a square root over there. Okay, so remember guys, then you're remaining with 4 inside the brackets. Let me just do it there so that you fully understand, ladies and gentlemen, just in case if you are a bit lost. So remember, just for this part at the bottom, it's square root of 10 to the exponent 2007, right? Multiplied by square root of 10 to the exponent 4, okay? Minus square root of 10 to the exponent 2007. I hope now it makes sense. So can you see, you take out this as common factor, then you remain with square root of 10 to the exponent 4, okay? Minus 1, okay? So it's because when you multiply this by that, it has to give you this. When you multiply this by 1, it has to give you that. Okay, so guys, then the reason for that, it was so that both of these can cancel with each other. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. That was the reason why we did all of that exercise. Okay, so remember, that means now we are remaining with 10, which is that 10 over, remember this is the same as now 10 to the exponent 4 to the exponent 1 over 2 minus 1. I hope you remember why it's to the exponent 1 over 2 is because you can just represent that square root by just saying it's to the exponent 1 over 2. So it's more like we have 10 4 multiplied by 1 over 2. Okay, so what is half of what is half of 4? If you punch on a calculator 4 times half, it gives you 2. So that means we have 10 squared. Okay, what is 10 squared, ladies and gentlemen? I think it's 100. Okay, so that means, guys, we have 10 over 100 minus 1. Okay, so this is the same as 10 over 99, ladies and gentlemen. So that means this is the same as 10 over 99. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check if this answer is correct, then punch all of this on a calculator and see if it gives you 10 over 99. If it doesn't, then it means somewhere we made a mistake, which simply means this thing is not correct. Okay, so for converting that into SARS, we give you a mark over there. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, for you to take out the common factor. It tells us that you fully understand what you're doing. Then it gives us confidence that you come from good hands. Okay, so now for your final answer, we give you a mark. I'm sure there's someone who already punched all of that on a calculator and they got an answer. Let's give it a try. This is how you do it. You say square root. I started with a fraction button. Then you say square root 10 to the exponent 2009. At the bottom, it's square root of 10 to the exponent 2011. Then you say minus on the side, not inside the square root. Then you say square root of what is it? It's 10 to the exponent 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very worried. Let me just check, because it seems like I made a mistake somewhere. I see, because that square root is the square root for everything. So I say fraction button, square root of 10 to the exponent 2009. Then you come at the bottom, you say square root of 10 to the exponent 2011. Okay, then you move to the side, ladies and gentlemen. So that means you move 2 times to the side. You punch that arrow 2 times. At first I punched it once and it just dropped from the exponent to down there, but still within the bracket. So it's more like I had something like this, guys, where that was 10 to the exponent 2011, then minus. Then can you see you have 2 square root? You have a square root within a square root, whereas it has to be a square root, then minus, and a separate square root. Then it's square root of 10 to the exponent 2007. Guys, I'm very, very scared that when we punch it's equals to, if it doesn't give us 10 over 99, then it means what we're doing, it was incorrect. So I see I might have substituted something incorrectly. Let me see. Over that, it says maths error. Let me put it inside the brackets. I'm not really sure of what could be the challenge over there. Let me just put in everything inside the brackets. So into, okay, then on that side I say into, then I come down into, then I do the same over there and put it inside the brackets. So if it gives an error again, that would mean this is not the type of equations where you can prove or check if your final answer is correct. But by following the correct answers, the correct procedures, then you should be able to get the final correct answer. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it gives us an error again, which means for this type of questions, ladies and gentlemen, because of the exponents, is too big. That's why it fails to work when we substitute with those, 1,000 numbers. Let me just quickly try to check something before we move to the next question. But ladies and gentlemen, this is how you approach this type of questions. Okay, can you see, guys? I was actually right. Because of this number is too big, it doesn't allow on a calculator to punch such a big number as an exponent. It doesn't fit in. Okay, so because we know this is 2000 and something. Let's just remove this. Let's just remove that 20. Let's just remove that. Okay, so instead of you saying 2009, just punch 10 to the exponent 9. Okay, then here punch 10 to the exponent 11. Here punch 10 to the exponent 7. Okay, so when you punch all of that, I just said it's equals to, and it gives me 10 over 99. Okay, can you see, ladies and gentlemen? That's what I'm saying. It's best if I make these mistakes so that you don't make similar mistakes in exam. Okay, so when I'm the one who's making these mistakes, it's better because I've got no marks to lose. I'm not the one who'll be writing these exams. The person who'll be writing these exams is the person who's watching this lesson, and I'm sure you might be laughing or smiling over there wherever you are. Okay, remember guys, in mathematics, if you find something funny, you don't spend much of your time laughing. You just say ha, then you're going to finish the laughter at a later stage when you're doing the dishes or when you're cooking. Okay, in a maths class, we don't spend much of our time laughing. You just say ahi, and then you're done. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's now move to our last question. Okay, so it's question, let's see his question. Hey guys, you almost saw my password. Okay, okay, but it's fine. I know you guys are my friends. You won't try to hack me in any way. Okay, so guys, we don't spend much of our time laughing. You just say ha, and then you're done. You'll finish the laughter sometime on your way home if the joke was made at school. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, simplify completely without the use of a calculator. A very interesting question, guys. So this is what we're given. It's 1 plus square root of 2x squared closed squared minus square root of 8x squared. And again, this question is allocated 3 marks. Okay, it looks a bit difficult, but it's not difficult. It's just confusing. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, these are those type of questions which are not difficult but just confusing. Okay, so please do allow me to make mistakes so that you don't make these mistakes. Okay, so I make these mistakes on your behalf. Okay, so we know, ladies and gentlemen, when we have a square over there, it means it's 2 of these things. Okay, so let's do it, guys. So that means it's 1 plus a square root of 2x squared, and the same thing again. Okay, 2x squared. You close minus that 8x squared. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, that you fully understand what I'm doing over there. Okay, so guys, the next step that you do, let's see, you multiply. Okay, so that means you have 1 times 1, which is just 1. 1 times that is the same thing. It's that which is 2x squared. Then you multiply this by 1, is still the same thing, so which is 2x squared. Then you have this multiplied by that. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is where it starts to be a little bit interesting. Okay, remember guys, you have square root of 2x squared multiplied by the same thing. Okay, this is quite interesting, and it's a bit tricky. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, how do I do this? So this is the same as 2x squared to the exponent 1 over 2, isn't it? And again, this is being multiplied by 2x squared to the exponent 1 over 2. Do you agree, ladies and gentlemen? Do you agree? Because I just told you, ladies and gentlemen, I just told you that square root is the same as whatever inside to the exponent 1 over 2. Okay, remember guys, these are the bases which are the same. Okay, so that means you actually have 2x squared to the exponent 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2. Why? Because the bases are the same, you add the exponents. Okay, that rule I've taught it, ladies and gentlemen. If this is x, this is y, then the bases are the same, then it's a, then you just add the exponents. Okay, so the exponents in this case are the numbers. So guys, what is half plus half? Half plus half is equals to 1, guys. Even if you punch on a calculator, half plus half is equals to 1. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that means we've got 2x squared to the exponent 1. Okay, so this one is multiplying that 2. Okay, so it's more like you have 2x squared. Okay, even if it didn't multiply, you know, if it's 1, then you can just ignore it. Okay, so that means when you multiply this by that is the same as this. That's why here we write 2x squared. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Very, 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 very much important. Okay, so remember this thing, ladies and gentlemen, I've just indicated to you that is the same as, remember, I almost made another mistake over there. The sign there, it's minus. This is where I am, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the same as 8 multiplied by what is it? It's square root of 2 squared, isn't it? And remember, okay, let me just do it on the next step. It's square root of x squared. I hope some of you already know that x squared, as long as it's square root, then this squared cancels that square root. Exactly what I've explained, ladies and gentlemen. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you can have a look, also there we also have the same thing. This is what I'm talking about. So it's 1, this is square root of 2 times square root of x squared. Okay, plus square root of 2 times square root of x squared. Okay, plus 2x squared minus this thing, ladies and gentlemen, it can be simplified. It can be further simplified. If you punch this on a calculator, I'm sure you're going to get something like this. Where is this coming from? It's because you're having square root of 8, which is the same as square root of 4 times 2. Okay, which is the same as square root of 4 times square root of 2. Okay, which is the same as square root of 4, we know is 2, then and that square root of 2. Okay, which is the same as that. That's why here, after saying minus, I can say 2 square root of 2 multiplied by that square root of x squared. Okay, very, 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 very much important, ladies and gentlemen. It's very much important that you realize and understand what I'm doing over there. Don't get confused, just relax, have a glass of water, and don't panic. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, can you see this thing and this thing is the same thing, isn't it? So that means we have 1 plus 2 of these things. Okay, 2 of square root of 2 times square root of x squared. Okay, very, very much important. Plus this thing, ladies and gentlemen, which is 2x squared. Okay, minus 2 square root of 2 times square root of x squared. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Please do not get confused. I pray that you're not being confused. Remember, in case if you're confused, I've been listening to what I've been saying. So far, everything that I've been saying, it corresponds with what I've been writing. So if you can replay this lesson over and over again, you will understand exactly what I was doing. So guys, this thing and that thing is the same, because you have 2 square root of 2 square root of x squared. You have 2 square root of 2 square root of x squared. Okay, and there it's a plus, there it's a minus. So that means these things, they actually cancel out each other. They cancel out each other. Then what are you remaining with? You're remaining with that and that. So that means this is 1 plus 2x squared. I cannot further simplify this, then this means this is my final answer. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we can just give you a mark for which step. Let me see. I think we can just give you a mark for that step over there, for expanding that thing. Okay, and again, let me see, where else can we give you a mark, ladies and gentlemen? For writing it in its simplest form, we can give you a mark, because we assume on that step you're simplifying the whole of that, and I'm going to give you a mark over there. So that's how you score your 3 marks. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks very, very much for joining, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Guys, if you have watched this lesson until this far, please do make sure to like this video and give me a feedback. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks very, 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 very much for joining. My name is Desmond, and I'm out.